games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days in a row. Big game on Friday, number 3 Arkansas, and number 1 LSU. Again, LSU, I don't know what the stats are, but this, at the end of the year, their schedule, I consider it to be the best schedule I've ever seen. Ever. LSU schedule. Ever seen. You got Alabama when they were number 2. You got Arkansas when they were number 3. You got a top 5 team in Oregon. You have to play a top 15 team in Georgia.
They play Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky's great.
They play West Virginia.
The best team west of Kentucky. You have another team, you're going to have to play number 2 team in the BCS title game.
If anyone wants to look up, the only 2 other really tough schedules I can think of off the top of my head are 2002 USC and 2006 Florida. I don't remember the details. I remember all year long people saying how difficult of the schedule they had. And 06 Florida won the national title. 02 Florida won the Orange Bowl or Fiesta Bowl or whatever. With some kids named Palmer and Palomalo.
Some guy, yeah.
Palmer and
Apparently they were pretty good.
That makes me sick. That show.
What? Okay.
But yeah, LSU schedule's nasty.
LSU.
And I'm shocked they haven't lost a game. Especially because the last 2 times they won a national title, I think you can make a case they were better. At least they were definitely better offensively than they are now. But they haven't finished undefeated in 60 years. Both those teams lost. I think 03 lost once and 07 lost twice. And this team, I mean, it's been so long since they've gone undefeated and still won national titles. So, I mean, and with this schedule, it makes it even more impressive.
We should go talk to the guy waxing the floor down by Java City if he thinks LSU have really most impressive schedule they've ever seen.
I'm sure he'll say yes, but he won't give us a straight answer until you come on waxing the floor.
That's it.
I think if this game were at Little Rock for Arkansas, they have a shot at winning. They do not have a chance of winning. I don't think.
They get pants.
I don't think they get pants.
Arkansas.
I mean, I'll be honest. I think LSU's going to win. Arkansas's offense, I'm not as a whole they're overrated. I agree. Their receiving core and their quarterback are good enough though.
And what is LSU's strength?
I think
I understand that. Like I said, I still think LSU's going to win. Their offense is good enough, though, that if Wilson and their receivers get in a little bit of a rhythm, they can make this a game for a while.
Put up 20?
And they can put up more than 6. I'll say that. More than Alabama did.
I think you're saying they're overrated because they're 3rd in their division.
They are. They're only the 3rd best team in the SEC West.
They're a very, very tenuous number 3 BCS team. I think with everything that's gone on the past 8 days.
They're there because they can't play.
I agree that they're overrated. I think they're a top 15 team in terms of talent. So, I mean, obviously, if you've got a top 15 team playing the number 1 team, I mean, in theory, it's not shocking if they win.
Go win the Cotton Bowl.
But I still think LSU wins by 10 points.
Because they lost their only big game against Alabama all year. And if they were to somehow beat LSU, they would be number 1 in the country. They would not go to the SEC title game.
Yeah.
And they would go to the national title game.
That would
That's
be.
How it would work.
That would be bad. People are going to get angry. People are going to get.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Someone's going to be angry this year, no matter what. Yeah. Probably multiple.
We haven't delved into this, but
Not
Houston.
That's what we're getting to next. Okay. But how stupid are the rankings on polls on the human side? Basically, if you lose, you're going to drop, and if you win, and somebody loses in front of you, you're going to go up.
Yeah.
Arkansas would be number 1 if they win this week, but their 1 loss is to Alabama. So are they a better team than Alabama? No, because they played and Alabama won. Same reason why Oregon, they're what, 9th, 10th? They're 10th in the BCS. Stanford's 5-6. Why is Oregon below Stanford when they played 2 weeks ago and Oregon killed them?
That's a different one because Stanford has one loss than Oregon.
But they've lost to the same team. Yeah. Or USC, they almost beat Stanford. Yeah. Stanford, they lost to Oregon. Oregon, they've lost to LSU, number 1. USC, a top 15, 20 team. But how can you judge that? Well, they have 2 losses. Well, so what? They beat Stanford. They're better than Stanford. They played on the field and beat them. So why is Oregon ranked lower than Stanford? Because they have 2 losses instead of 1.
Well, I mean, the bottom line with the human polls, it's still all irrelevant right now. And by the time the season's over,
I think it's
for the most part, everything works itself out in one way. A lot of people don't like the way it transpires to get there, the journey it takes. But more often than
It's
not,
a journey.
it usually, if it's not correct, it's pretty close to correct.
Unless LSU runs the table, no one's going to be happy with the win.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because if it comes down to, what are the odds right now, the percentage that we have an all SEC final?
I think it's lower than people would admit, because I don't think people are going to want to see a rematch.
I
But
think
it's higher than it's been in a while.
if LSU and Alabama win out, I mean, who's going to jump them and say, hey, we deserve this over Alabama?
Because
not
Virginia
gonna
Tech
be
is number
Arkansas.
4. You're not going to throw Virginia Tech in there at this point.
Oklahoma
It's
State,
unlikely.
if they went out, no. I think it's probably 40%.
I'd go roughly 30%.
Game of the century dose.
So,
Over under 15 points for that one.
and people aren't going to like that because
It'll be well under. The offense will
This
be
time
rusty
it's
after all that
money.
time off.
the national championship is in New Orleans.
Yeah.
We need a 2 SEC team championships. Clearly, the SEC needs to make more money.
I think that's true.
If we can,
They
if we
make
can
more
push it,
than
we can
Western
crack $1 billion.
The combined GDP of Western Europe is less than what Alabama and LSU will make if they're in the national team.
And you know, whenever they say the
T-ball
South,
is greater than the GDP.
No.
whenever they say the South will rise again, little known fact, this is actually what they've been talking about the entire time.
This is the beginning of a revolution.
Yeah.
This is bad.
Never Western Kentucky.
I don't think this.
Alabama, meanwhile, LSU's played hell in a handbasket on the schedule. And Alabama, they play nobody. They play Georgia Southern. They play Wodunk State. They play Tech.
Teachers College of Indiana.
And they gave up 17.
Still played Arkansas
I mean that's it.
at LSU.
That's all they played in
That's fine.
conference. Their schedule, trash.
I agree. Definitely.
Can you hear me? Can you really hear me?
For an SEC schedule,
I can't hear you.
it's pretty light.
Can you hear me?
Are you sure?
Listen, the whole thing.
Because the SEC, you had Florida play Furman this last week.
Yeah, this was the worst for the SEC. This was like the worst weekend of games I've seen. This was as bad as the opening weekend of the season.
It's like who's
Actually, no, it was worse because the opening weekend LSU played Oregon.
who at the SEC offices is like, yeah, that's second to last week of the year. What's that can
Well,
be your
they're
bye
smart
week.
because
I
all these
know
other
they're
teams
smart.
are losing
Yeah.
to Iowa State, who's the next Furman. They're losing all these conference teams, and SEC teams are going up against Tech, and they're winning these games. They're guaranteed wins.
Yeah.
It matters when you lose. It shouldn't, but it does. If you lose early, that's good.
It
If
matters
you
where
lose
you
late,
start. There's where you start and when you lose.
when you put the tire to the pavement, rubber to the road. That's when it matters.
If I may say this, veering away from SEC for a moment, if I may say it, I think the best 2-loss team in the country right now.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, Kansas State.
It might
We
be.
can look at the way they lost those 2 games. I mean, toss-ups. The way they lost those 2 games and they come back the way they have since then.
But they're here. They need to be here to get their championship game. I agree. Kansas State. Let's go to the title.
They could really use Kansas State as a team that could really use a Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, they could.
Absolutely.
They're not going to get the chance.
If only they were in the championship against Oklahoma and they had Darren Sproles, they could just do it all over. They could just beat Oklahoma.
Don't forget L. Roberson.
Yep.
No, I think they're very good. I mean, I would say they've shown up and played well or great in every single one of their games. So you can't say the same for
I'll say that they're very polished.
Kansas State might be one of the biggest winners of the weekend because if they went out with 2 losses and everyone else losing, they possibly could get into an at-large for a BCS.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen, but they could. And the way they've looked the last 2 or 3 years, let's not even look at that. This is the last 2 or 3 years, if through 10 games or not 11 games or whatever, they'd only have 2 losses. If someone would have said that at the beginning of the year, I think everyone else here would say, yeah, I think you're crazy.
So I want to see Wildcats Sooners Part 2. That game got away from them the first time. I think they can compete with them. Oklahoma.
Clemson, Kansas State for all the marbles.
I think
Oh,
so.
the Tostitos.
Tostitos.
I would love that. I want to see Musburger calling Kansas State. There we go. I want to see him calling that game. It won't happen. I wish it
Colin
would.
Clyde and the Kansas State Wildcats.
Is their quarterback Klein the most underrated player in the country?
He might be. I mean, he's good. I remember last year watching him because their starter got hurt, and he was a guy you looked at and he kind of looked talented, but just didn't quite have things go the right way. And obviously, he used the offseason well because he is just a beast running the ball now. I mean, he's Tim Tebow of Manhattan, Kansas. Right now.
He's big man in Manhattan. But I would say that we don't tape at this time in the union. Next time.
We'll take the break. We'll
Hold on.
come back.
No, let's take the break. Let's take the.
We'll
We better go to station break.
We'll beat up. I better. You call me Jim one more time. We're gonna have to go to station break. Or Chris, I mean.
You call me
But I
Chris
do.
one more time.
Chris.
All right, we'll be back after this.
Yes.
We'll be back after this. Coming up next on the Sports Lounge, the rest of the college football weekend. Now that the sweeping is done for the time being, looking back, you mentioned Houston.
I did.
They're on Friday. They're at Tulsa. Tulsa's 8-3. They're pretty good. They can put up points. They put up 57 last week. Houston, they're done. They lose this week.
Okay.
They're out.
Man, you're stealing my thunder.
Yeah. Well, it's
You can have the
Well,
light.
partially.
I thought about going Hurricane football and potentially being the upset chance. I'm gonna ride the Cougar
train, huh?
the locomotive, yeah. And just say that Case Keenum has come too far in his 6th year of eligibility now to lose at this point. So I'll say Houston wins and they ride into that Conference USA championship game at 12.
I would like to see Houston win. I just get the feeling that either this week or next week in the conference title game, they're going to lose. I mean, they've played a very poor schedule. I mean, you're talking about Alabama's schedule.
UCLA.
The best team that Houston's played is a very mediocre UCLA team. And with their offense like that, I mean, a specific offense like that, when it bogs down, it's a lot worse than other offenses being bogged down. And you usually don't go an entire season without any kind of hiccups. And I just think they're going to have that either this week or next week.
So much of it's on Keenum. The fact that this game he's probably going to have to score 55 points, maybe more. And I don't know to have to rely on that week in and week out thing. This feels a lot like Boise, Nevada.
Yeah.
2010. Nevada's good. Houston, they've had a great year. They've had a nice season. Haven't beaten anybody great, like we all mentioned. Feels like this is a very, very good week for that kind of upset to happen.
Is this Tulsa's bowl game?
Is this their Waterloo?
Is this
Tulsa's
Houston's Waterloo?
making a bowl game.
Their bowl game will be their bowl game.
Okay, good.
The bowl game will be their bowl game.
I'll say that this is a bigger game though.
Yeah.
Oh God, no, yeah,
Houston will be a better team than whoever they play. The bowl game.
definitely.